Should you buy Le Mans Ultimate 1.0, the full release? Well, today I'm going to answer that as honestly as I can, because you know, I've been a bit brutal with Le Mans Ultimate in the past, and that was my first impression of 1.0, because yes, I've had early access to the end of early access, and I've been putting the game through its paces, not just in Hypercar, but also GT3, and also in VR. I've looked at the monetization, I've looked at what's included, the handling models, what's changed 1.0, and I've got some thoughts, and some of them are going to be controversial, no doubt, but maybe not in the way that you think. Because let's talk about the big thing first, which is the price. I now understand I can say the base game is going to originally be £28.99 or $37.99. Now, given what's actually included in that, which is not everything in the game, we'll get onto that later, I actually think that's decent value. I think that's good value, better than decent value. I don't think it's amazing value, and I don't think it's terrible value. I think it's good, decent value. I think if you buy this game now, you know, 1 year on from it coming out in early access, all of the issues we've had, I think you're getting a really solid, at least single player experience. We'll get onto the multiplayer later. Now, it is worth saying at this moment in time that there is a lot of downloadable paid content in Le Mans Ultimate, and so far as I speak, there are 5 DLC packs that exist already. These range in price from $7.49 to $17.99, although most of them are $12.99. That is around the same price as a car or track in iRacing, and we'll get onto that later because I know there's lots of comparisons between Le Mans Ultimate and iRacing. But when it comes to the driving, you can see here I'm in the brand new Aston Martin Valkyrie, which is a free car, and that's a great idea, giving that free to celebrate the launch of Le Mans Ultimate in full. There are a few... let's talk about the positives first. From a single player experience, I'm driving here in 4K, driving hypercars at Spa, fully liveried, fully licensed. I've been to Spa, I've been to the World Endurance Championship in real life. This is what it feels like just seeing the Michelin branding over there, seeing all the correct sponsors around the track, seeing the place up there where you can get some cheap chips if you've never been to Spa before, which is a bar and restaurant. That's amazing. You don't get this in iRacing. You can't get it in Gran Turismo 7. I don't think you can get this anywhere else, this kind of feeling. So they stuck their neck on the Endurance Championship license, and I think that's been sensible. As we've seen Formula 1 become a little bit more boring, let's say, the World Endurance Championship in hypercars has become more interesting. And this is great. Driving with the Porsche 963, I'm in the Valkyrie, I've got a 499p behind me. We can see the Alpines up there as well, the Peugeot 9X8, and the BMW hypercar as well. Like, these are all incredible cars to drive. This is where I have one of my first criticism. I don't think the hypercars are actually that good to drive in Le Mans Ultimate. And I know there was a controversy recently with iRacing and Le Mans Ultimate about the speeds of the cars, and at Sebring, iRacing the cars weren't the same as in real life, but in LMU they were. That aside, I just don't think these are the best cars to drive in LMU. I actually think, as we're going to get onto in this video, the GT3s can be incredible to drive, and that's really surprising because I'd often thought in my head where LMU really separates itself from every other game is having the full hypercar field, and the hypercars are where you get most of the included content, or let me put it another way, it's the most complete class in the game when it comes to the free content. But actually, when I was driving the Valkyrie, I wasn't really feeling too much excitement. It does sound great. It does look great as well. See, I'm driving in third person here just so you can see how the car handles. But it's not that much fun to drive. I remember when LMU came out, the hypercars were really, really difficult to drive. And I actually kind of respected that. When I was watching WEC in real life, the drivers were struggling with hypercars in real life because of the no tyre blankets, things like that. So that's pretty cool to see. This is where Le Mans Ultimate starts to get really interesting. We're going to see it more later in the video as well. When you're doing multi-class, everything again is fully licensed. You've got all these cars. You don't need to own these cars. There's some of these cars I don't own actually, but they're on track anyway. So that's really cool. Like, this is a better experience again than iRacing. The AI for me is better than iRacing. Absolutely wipes the floor with Assetto Corsa Evo, by the way. Like, this AI just makes Assetto Corsa Evo look laughably bad. So props to the team for developing the AI in this way. I think the single player is going to be compelling, and I'm doing most of my time in single player. Now I am going to show you VR in this video as well, because I have been doing VR in the pre-release review copy that I have as well. But before that, I just want to show you GT3s. And again, I was super surprised about how much I was enjoying GT3s. I know they've changed the time model. I think the time model they have right now is absolutely incredible. So this is in 4K at Bahrain. It's not a circuit I drive that much. It's an AI field of cars, but I can completely see myself doing this in online as well. I have done online in Le Mans Ultimate since the launch. I've mainly done it in LMP2s, which I kind of enjoy driving in iRacing as well, because I've been thinking, if I'm going to do GT3 racing, I may as well do it in iRacing. But I think this experience is so great. I think this could be the iRacing killer. Asterisk there, because we are going to talk about cost. But have a look at the graphics here. You might recognize Bahrain from Formula 1. And the track detailing here is so good. And it really comes into its own in virtual reality. Now, this is one of the free cars in the game, the AMG. So I'm driving both free cars. By the way, Le Mans Ultimate gave me a press review code, but they haven't told me to say anything or not say anything. No money has changed hands with me. I haven't been paid a significant amount of money to do a minimum amount of content for Le Mans Ultimate over the year. I just do it when I want to, when I think you guys are interested in it. And here, I'm trying to give, as always, a fair shake. I think iRacing is a great simulator. I think iRacing does tap into kind of the real world mentality of, I'm going to buy a car and I'm going to really understand this car. I'm going to drive this car around the world in championships, rather than I'm going to oh, now I want to drive this car and then this car, and I don't really understand them at a deeper level. I think iRacing really has that very well. But Le Mans Ultimate here, I could imagine myself doing the same thing now. And when you look at the pricing of the DLCs they're doing, it is essentially price matching iRacing, but you are getting a little bit more bang for your buck. You're getting a few more cars. Sometimes you're getting a track as well. And I find that interesting. So here we are in Bahrain, like I said, and it is going to be a day-night race. So have a look at the graphics, kind of really getting the tone right. Look at the sunset here and the long shadows and the little bit of glistening off the cars. iRacing has better graphics than we all think, and I am running this on the 4090, but this is really up there, I would say, even to the extent that when you can hear cars of different classes on other parts of the circuit, you can see them out the corner of your eye with the peripheral vision in the distance. It really is quite something. And then when we go into VR in the game, it does struggle. I'm going to show you what it looks like in VR, because at 40, you'll be able to see I'm using it on basically the best headset in the world, on basically the best graphics card in the world. So you'll see the peak of what's possible. But with the GT3 racing, I knew that I could just drive around here as my main GT3 sim now. This is really good. I would say that for whatever reason, the footage of Le Mans Ultimate always looks better on recordings than when I'm driving it. When I'm driving it, for some reason, the frame rate doesn't feel quite smooth, and I am all G-synced up and everything, but I've never quite been able to work that out. And I really should mention as well that the game does suffer from bugs still. Even when I was playing the game pre-launch in this review version, I was having issues with my force feedback disconnecting. I've now bound the force feedback to my wheel. People are like, oh, just bound it to your wheel, the reset button. I don't think that's an ideal fix, because I think if you press the reset button while your wheel is loaded, it sets it like a new standard or something, and I have weird vibrations. Also, once I did that, I then couldn't get out of the start menu. I was driving with the start menu on the screen on top. And then one time, it just completely locked my PC. My PC just completely locked up. The sound was still going. My Moser wheel was going mad, rotating. I had to hard reset the PC, turn it off. So there's still little things like that I don't get in other sims. I certainly don't get it in Gran Turismo 7, which runs bulletproof. And these kind of things are going to stop them getting certified on console unless they can fix them. I actually think if the game is successful enough, they might have enough budget they can really push the console side of things. That will force them to fix some of these bugs. And maybe the platform holders will be able to help them identify some of these bugs, because they are really annoying. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you over to virtual reality. So just bear in mind, it's running on essentially the same settings here, but in VR. So the frame rate is going to struggle more, but have a look at the visual quality. So this is the VR at Bahrain, and you can see that the visual quality is insane for virtual reality. This is probably the sharpest I've ever felt virtual reality, and I am running at silly settings on my Pimax Crystal Super. And I'll be doing some. Let me know in the comments actually if you want me to really deep dive into the VR settings, because I'm sure I can sacrifice some of the insane track detail here. Like, look at the grandstands, look how many light sources there are, everything like that. But really, it's the interior of the car that you want and the other cars around you, I find, and maybe braking markers as well. This is a phenomenal potential in VR. This is not here yet. I still can't recommend this game off the bat in VR because it rarely runs out the box for me well in VR. But with someone of my experience able to tweak it and my tolerance for lower frame rates when I'm racing, it's absolutely incredible. So I will probably come out with some settings for this that I know will work on high-end and mid-range GPUs. I've also tried on my 4060 Ti as well, but this is absolutely incredible. Let me take it tonight and we'll just see how immersive it is. So this is just absolutely incredible. By the way, I am going to show you as well what's included and how the DLC works in the game and if it's annoying or not. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. But you can see here like all of the light sources, and I thought maybe in my Pimax Crystal Super it was blooming a bit in the headset because it's not an OLED panel, but actually you can see there's a bit of bloom here, so it kind of actually looks pretty much exactly the same in my headset as to what you see here, which is crazy. Like, you don't get this in Gran Turismo 7, the amount of light sources. This is a stupid way to run this game in VR. Like, there's no need to have this few compromise on the visual quality. Like, it's just going to compromise the frame rate too much. But I was absolutely loving it here, and this is when I realized that if you look back at me driving the hypercar, even though I know Spa really well, and I don't know Bahrain that well, it was almost like driving a new circuit in the hypercar. I was soaring a lot at the wheel. I wasn't able to just turn in, feel the grip, hit the apex, unwind the wheel. Whereas even though this is not a particularly familiar circuit to me, Bahrain, I was able to, in the AMG, like, work it out really quickly and have a really enjoyable feeling. Like, this is right up there for GT3 sims for me. This is better than Assetto Corsa Competizione. In fact, I don't really know why you would play Assetto Corsa Competizione now unless you're playing on an older PC, in which case I still recommend it, or purely because of the pricing. Like, the pricing on it is really competitive. Like, I have a discount somewhere and it's under $10, I think. Le Mans Ultimate is going to be $37, but if you put them side by side and ignore the cost, I think Le Mans Ultimate just absolutely blows it away. Like, really blows it away. It's incredible what they've done here on the GT3 front when GT3s weren't even in the game at launch. So now I want to show you how the DLC and stuff works, and this is where I hope you've enjoyed this video so far. I hope you enjoy my honest opinions on things. You can see on the right hand side, like, it scrolls through all these things that are purely trying to sell you stuff. It's not promoting events or tips and tricks. That kind of sets a bit of an alarm bell with me. You can see here in the career mode, it's got ELMS on the right hand side coming soon. That takes up a big chunk. The way they do the content by championship or bonus, I think, is irrelevant. I think I'd rather just know if it's free or if I need to pay for it. So you can see Interlagos, I don't have Interlagos, so I've got to buy it in the store. On the track front, I'm personally pretty good on track fronts with the DLCs that I've got. And so it doesn't, this issue is not particularly profound for me here, but we will see it when we go to the cars that actually it does become an issue for me. So this is the AMG that I think is actually fantastic. If I go to the Aston, you see I've got to pay for it. The BMW, I've got to pay for it. The Corvette, I've got to pay for it. The next will be the Ferrari, I've got to pay for it. Now, you might be listening to this raging on the keyboard because, like, obviously you've got to pay for it because they developed it. But I think Le Mans Ultimate is caught between doing this, hey, we're going to sell you a game at $37 and you're going to have content, versus, oh, we're going to try and sell you subscriptions and DLC content. Now, I know a lot of people will immediately say, well, iRacing is, the content is only active as long as you have a subscription, which is true. Like, I don't take that way at all. By the way, any game that you purchase, you only have a license to. Like, we don't actually own games per se. We license them. They can be shut down. Like, what's happened in the crew. When it comes to the hypercars, it's a lot better, by the way, with that content, which is why I think it just feels better. This is where things start to get a little bit more monetizable, though, because when we get online, you'll see there'll be lots of references to Race Control Pro Plus, and like there's multiple tiers that they're trying to sell. And actually, if you want to have the full functionality of the game, and by the way, as far as I can see in the table that there's online, that includes reporting instants. You have to pay to play. You have to pay to report instants. You have to pay to have custom liveries with a Race Control Plus subscription. now, or a Pro subscription, sorry. So when you get that, in fact, it might be Pro Plus, like the language for me is not native to me. But with that subscription, when you compare it with an iRacing subscription, if you actually, and this is going to be the controversial point, so at least hear me out on it. If you get an iRacing subscription, 40% off for new members, and you get it for a year, that is about $60, $70. And for that, you're getting about 30 free cars and 30 free tracks, roughly. That is a lot more included content than you get with Le Mans Ultimate. Le Mans Ultimate, you're not getting that many tracks. You might, on the car front, yeah, I'm not sure because you've got all the different GTEs, but on the track front, definitely not. So, and then also with that, you're getting the online service at the highest level. Nothing's hidden behind it. Whereas with the Le Mans Ultimate proposal, with this Race Control Pro Plus or something like that, that's like an $80 a year subscription to report incidents, have custom liveries. So when you add that onto the $37 the game costs, you got $37 for the game, $80 for the subscription, and then that subscription does give you all the DLC in the game. But it's confusing, and basically the point I'm trying to make here is that iRacing isn't quite as bad as it seems when it comes to pricing. It's not quite as bad as it seems. Everyone thinks it's terrible. It's not great, but you do get more free content than most people realise, and you would buy it at 40% off initial subscription anyway. Le Mans Ultimate isn't quite as generous as it seems, because actually a lot of the new cars are hidden behind DLC, and then there's this Race Control Pro or Pro Plus that also withhold some of the functionality from you. I still think Le Mans Ultimate is just better value. Like, I think, especially for single players, if you get the $37 game at launch and you're playing the single player content, I think, as I've said in this video, that is unbeatable. Especially GT3s, like going around these circuits driving GT3s, I think it's going to be fantastic. If they can add some kind of narrative in the career mode when they bring it, I think it's going to be really, really, really good, because interacting with these licensed characters, these drivers, is going to be fantastic. But if you're someone who's a online fiend and you want to be at the top of the DR and SR rankings and whatnot, it's going to be, you might feel like you're being nickeled and dimed a little bit. But when the competition is iRacing, you're definitely going to be nickeled and dimed on iRacing. So I don't think it's as simple as it sounds. When it comes to the handling model, I think the GT3s are fantastic. Like, I really like driving GT3s. If you're doing Le Mans Ultimate and you're just driving hypercars, jump in a GT3. And if you're driving GT3s, let me know what you think of the hypercars, because I feel like the hypercars need to feel a little bit more special in a way. Maybe going back to how difficult they were to drive, I felt when the game first came out. So those are my honest thoughts on Le Mans Ultimate. I'm going to have a VR video coming out as well, which is going to be me in VR, letting you know all the ins and outs of VR. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to see that. But otherwise, I'll see you next time.